If your lead generation strategy is failing, there's probably one thing that I can think of that I see when I'm coaching agents that I can help you with. Stay tuned, we're gonna dial in. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast. If you're on the road, you can listen to this simultaneously on the podcast so you don't have to see my smiling face and get distracted from the road. Let's get some engagement, trying to do things to help you win every single day at the game of real estate, as I am a successful real estate agent and like to share all my knowledge with you. So let's get rolling. First and foremost, agents are so obsessed with new leads and the volume and the numbers of doors knocked and the numbers of calls made and the numbers of posts made and the number of messages they've sent out on social media. This is the first problem. We need to start focusing on the quality, the acquisition, the conversion versus anything else. Right? The number one problem is that we're focused on volume over conversion. And if you can work to solve that, which we're going to talk about how I've done that, how you can do that here in this episode, then it will absolutely take it to the next level, right? So the truth is that believing that more leads equals more clients is completely false. We want to make sure that we are understanding what we are doing. Look at what is getting, what has happened, what are the metrics, what is our conversion rate, what did we say here, where were we successful, and we can go from there. And that's exactly what we need to focus on. The real gap in most funnels is in the middle, right? And that's the lack of nurture, the lack of connection. And the truth is, if we're just steady, going forward and moving forward and saying, okay, when are you going to be ready? 6 to 12 months. And we're, letting them fall off the radar, and so much can happen in 6 to 12 months. We are not nurturing. We're not providing that value. You need to have value that you can infuse into that relationship. If it's a 2-year wait, if it's a 18-month wait, if it's a 12-month wait. And some people can build in, natural value as far as market updates and, things like that. And some people need to be a little bit more strategic with it because they know that they can't be that consistent or whatever. So that's the thing, that middle of funnel nurture. And the problem is that the value must be there, right? It's not just nurture. It's not the drip campaign. It's not just seeing the, trashy email or whatever you're sending out. It is absolutely the value that comes from it. It's not just that top of mind. Sure, top of mind's important. We do those things. We have those things. But if it's a true opportunity for a client within, under 2 years, how is that value going to be dialed in? How is it unique to you and not just something that you're sharing through your realtor board or whatever? So that's the real gap in most funnels, is that. Again, the secret is focusing on the conversions, not the volume of leads. So why volume doesn't equal success? Without consistent human, real touch follow-up, we are absolutely ghosting our pipeline. Automation is great, but one of the key pieces that CRMs are starting to figure out and have as, an option is creating tasks for the human agent. Right? If we are continuing to rely on automation, it's only automation, and we're not, we are replaceable, right? Because technically we're just having a computer nurture a lead and build our business. And if that's the case, AI can do that, right? It can do that because you're giving it the information at some level for it to do that, whether it's putting it on your website or whatever that it's searching. So we need to make sure that automation is a piece of it, but it does not replace authenticity. Automation can be a great tool to remind you to do that, to automatically send out the home valuation, to automatically send out some of these things that are less, intensive on the actual person and the actual connection, but it doesn't replace it completely. So we need to infuse our authenticity into some of this automation. So use checklists, use call reminders, use, text reminders, all of those things, because if it's just auto emails and auto texts, I'm going to tell you right now that unsubscribe button is not quite a secret anymore as people move forward in this tech-driven age. And one thing I also want to kind of note is even the best paid leads, right? I won't tell you what the best paid lead source is because I think you all probably know that. but even the best paid lead source requires some amount of authentication, some connection. And I talk to these, major team leads, these guys that are, connected with, certain lead generation companies, and they're saying, okay, yeah, we want to make sure that, we're going to help agents grow from 5 to 12 deals or 5 to 20 deals, right? Pretty quickly because of our connection to these leads, but we don't want them to stay there, right? We want it to be a launching off point, a growth point for their business, and getting some transactions under their belt. But the truth is, every team leader I talk to is like, we'd like them off of the paid lead system by the third year or after the third year, whatever it is, because then they've had, 50, 60, 70 transactions from that lead source, right? And now they have a little bit of a pipeline. They have a little bit of a database that they can relate to. They're doing it correctly. They're getting referrals from those databases. And that's exactly what these team leads are looking for. Because they know that eventually the burnout will come, right? If you're just doing these leads and you're selling 20, 30, 40 houses a year and you're paying, the company 40%, and then you're paying the, team for the, connection to that lead another 50 or 20, whatever percent it is, the burnout will come because you're just selling 40 houses a year and, making $150,000. And that's just not the case. Like, because eventually they'll look at it and be like, well, if I could sell a quarter of that, I can make that, and it's a lot less work. And so the retention piece for the teams really lies in the long-term strategy and growing that and making that happen. And that's where a lot of these teams, now that they have that lead process dialed in, are turning their attention. Honestly, that's what I specialize in, is taking people off of those lead systems and putting them into play and utilizing, not completely ghosting the past, but definitely leveraging it to build a true client experience for those past clients so that they continue to refer business to you, and you can get those self-generated leads as well. So if you're a team lead, if you're an agent out there that's on leads, reach out. I'd love to have a game plan call with you and see if I could give you a couple, tricks of the trade to kind of start building for that, breakaway from being under leads that come in and all of that and the splits and everything that goes with it. So the ultimate fix is you have to lead with value, right? Build a brand that attracts and keeps attracting. That's number one, right? Deliver the value before asking for a contract or anything else. And this, obviously comes into play with the NAR settlement and all of that. Just build that value, deliver value. If all you try and do every single time you're around somebody is build value and give value, you will absolutely be rewarded for that when the time comes for a transaction or a referral. And, I talk a ton about this. If you're like, oh man, what value? I'm brand new. The only value you ever need to help anyone is to have the ability to go into a conversation, to connect them with anyone who can solve their problem. Whether that's you as a realtor, a small business owner, a bank, a salon, a restaurant, CPA, anything like that. If you can do that and you can find someone that you can connect them with that solves their problem, you have just provided them value, right? And they will, understand on the email or whatever, see your social media stuff, they'll follow you, they'll know that you're a real estate agent. That is the easiest and most direct way to bring value to people, is connect other people to solutions to their problems. And that's why being a real estate agent seems pretty easy to me, because that's my power, is my, uncanny ability to make a connection or find a connection or find something. It doesn't have to be a problem even. It's like, hey, this ails me, right? Oh, hey, this sucks. My insurance guy made me mad. Hey, call my guy. He'll take a look. Right? He owes me one, and we go from there. So that's absolutely a huge piece of the puzzle if you are struggling to find what you can lead value-wise with. And then the next thing is you want to make sure that everything is on brand, that your nurture sequence matches your voice. Again, ChatGPT is an amazing opportunity to use this and build your voice into it and have it, create a ton of great things, emails, captions for social media, pamphlets, everything. But this is the importance of the branding when it comes to, the real estate industry, is if you have a brand voice and you have a brand kind of value stack, and that's consistent across all areas of connection, you will absolutely grow. So think connection, not just conversation, and not just conversion. You know that if you make a connection, conversion will eventually come your way. Whether it's from that client that you solve their problem, or maybe it's from that small business owner that you just gave a referral to. You never know. The opportunity lies out there. But if your lead generation is struggling, really focus on these kind of things, dial it in, wonder why it's doing it, but ultimately look back, right? Take notes. Where did it go wrong? Where did it go right? When it did go right, what happened to that lead? Focus on your pipeline daily. Focus on prospecting and new stuff daily, and notice that's not the same thing as we've talked about quite recently on this channel. So I hope that helps. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Fix that one problem with your lead generation, and let's absolutely crush the next 3 months in this game. Bye-bye.